Welcome to episode 6 of the Financial Coach podcast. My name is Mark Corkery and I'm the Financial Coach. Our guest today is Stephen O'Sullivan, who is an expert on all things to do with marketing. Hi, Stephen. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for inviting me on.
No problem at all. So, Stephen, tell me a bit about your background and how you got to where you are today with Splash.
Okay. Well, Mark, we started back in 1996 in Killorglin as a graphic design company. And we pivoted in our business model because we wanted to, let's say, go into printing, go into web development, going into wide format printing. But as you can appreciate, there was only so many businesses in Kerry. So we quickly had to adapt our business model to attract businesses from outside of Kerry. And I guess our first venture into that was back in 2002 when we set up Ireland's first printing website, which was printing.ie. And on that, we could get clients from all over Ireland and we could service them from Kerry, and it worked out really well. So we quickly figured out that the model that we wanted to, let's say, use going forward was developing a service that we could sell to companies outside of Kerry without meeting them face to face. So I guess one of our next steps into that world was with a company that we developed called Practice Hook. And we now have 250 accountants plus throughout Ireland, where we literally update their websites daily with business news, financial advice, newsletters, and so on. So I guess that was our key.
Wow, it's a very broad range of services. Maybe can you tell me about what you do in Splash Marketing for your customers?
Well, I guess that we operate a number of different services. Some clients come to us for regular printing, wide format, they're going to an exhibition. But since COVID, we've kind of really concentrated on the web development side of the business, because I think businesses have kind of realized that for them to kind of survive as a business going forward, they really need to look at their whole digital offering, how they're promoting themselves on social media, how they're promoting their business through Google, but more importantly, what their website looks like, what are they saying to potential customers. So I guess from day to day, what my job is, it's meeting with clients over Zoom. It's taking care of their marketing, liaising with my development team, my content writers, my digital marketing team, and literally just kind of pulling it all together.
Excellent. So you have a busy day every
Very
day.
excellent.
Can you maybe give us any examples of how your marketing advice has helped one of your clients to date?
I guess the story I always tell, which is, I think it's a really clever piece of work we produced a number of years ago. We were lucky enough to get the contract to brand an Irish pub, and the Irish pub was the Kerryman pub in Chicago. Now, what was unique about that is that, people, when they go into an Irish pub, they like to have the conversation, they like to talk to the bar staff. It's one of these things where they like a bit of banter. So what we did was we came up with this story, and the story was in the form of a logo. And the logo it was St. Brendan's ship, and underneath it, it had St. Brendan, the original navigator, and 523 AD. Now, when you have an American sitting in the bar and they see this on the bar staff's shirts, they kind of say, what's the deal with this original navigator? And we then coached the staff that their kind of reply to this was that, sure, wasn't it a Kerryman who founded America? And the big thing on that is that straight away it gets into, no, it was Christopher Columbus. And that's where the crack starts with the Americans, and they're talking, the Irish telling them about the 2000 St. Brendan colleges in America, and the Ogham stones being found on the East Coast back in 500, 600 AD. And I guess it was just a piece of marketing that really, really connected with the customer and with the visitors to the bar, and it's really worked out well for them.
Yeah, I can see how that story would really work. Why do you think storytelling works in marketing?
I guess that the thing is that we feel that clients will connect with a story. And it's a bit like, I guess, that when you hear a good joke, you can remember the joke verbatim, line for line of the joke, and you can tell it to somebody. And I think with storytelling, it's a bit like a joke in a way, but that you can, when you're getting your story across to somebody, when it's told in an interesting way, it's something they remember. When you think about when you were in college or school and you're learning stuff by bullet points, you don't really remember it. So I always feel that when we have a client, it's good to create a story. What's different about the client? What's different about the service they offer? What's the background? And if we can get that across in 30 to 40 seconds of an elevator pitch, that's a very good tool for marketing, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I suppose there's a lot of costs associated with setting up a business at the moment. Are there any incentives to help individuals set up marketing their businesses?
Absolutely. It really depends where you're coming from. Now, what I mean by that is whether you're kind of coming from a social welfare background, whether you're getting a back to work allowance. There's a number of different entries to the marketplace. I guess the couple of ones that come to mind are, contacting your Enterprise Ireland or your local enterprise board, the likes of a local area partnership in your area. Those are easy to find if you Google them. If you're interested in doing business with Northern Ireland or further, there's the likes of Intertrade Ireland and Enterprise Ireland have fantastic incentives to help businesses. The first step is just going on their website, logging a call, and even if you don't qualify for maybe one of the grant aids, they can set you up with free business coaching, free mentorship, and those are things that will help you on the path. I mean, the biggest thing with any of these agencies is just getting on the radar with them. Once you kind of get in there and you're part of one program that may lead to another program that may lead to another program, that's the key. And I mean, these agencies they love to work with people who are interested and they learn something and they progress. And also, a lot of these agencies kind of do free kind of social media courses or start your own business or understanding your accounts. So, from being free to low cost courses, they're an excellent resource for anyone starting their business.
Well, seems to be an awful lot of help there for people, which is fantastic.
There is. And I mean, the best thing to do is just literally pick up the phone, speak to somebody in the enterprise board or the local area partnership, tell them what you're doing, and just simply ask them, do they think they have any incentives there that could help your business? Because they want to help businesses.
Brilliant, brilliant. So Stephen, a lot of the listeners on the podcast are employees, not business people. Can you give us an idea of some marketing things they can do to increase their income with, a side hustle?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot in this. There's a lot to think about to get the right skill. You have to look at possibly, what are you doing in your current job? Do you have a kind of a special sauce or a special knowledge, or do you have something that you've learned down through the years that's valuable? And you have to look at then, the first step then is going on to Google, looking at courses that are out there. Are there people teaching or coaching or passing knowledge on in the industry that you're interested in that maybe aren't doing it right, or that you could do better? And is it something that you feel that you could do? Because it's never been simpler to get an iPhone, get an Android phone, put it up in a set of books. It's got a camera, it's got a microphone, and it's going to be raw. The first few courses that you're doing, or the first few videos you're going to do, put it together, start an audience on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever you feel comfortable in, put it out there, give some free tips away, and just kind of test the water, see what kind of an offering or see what kind of a following you get in it. Listen to the feedback and give your comments back to these people as well, and start to engage them. that's one way you could look at it.
Yeah, I think definitely people have had to consider these things over the last 12 to 18 months with the lockdown and everything like that. It's become more normal to consider these options.
And you know what? YouTube is one of the best search engines out there. People talk about Google all the time. Look, YouTube, people like watching videos, people like producing videos. So hopping on YouTube, typing in your area of interest, even how to use the equipment, how to use a camera, how to use the lighting, what should I do? You'll see people that offer courses who are in video production, and they are offering the Dummy's Guide to starting your first course, the Dummy's Guide to recording your first video. And you know what? YouTube is free. Once you do your video, upload it to YouTube. For €100, you get a microphone if you want to upgrade the one that's on your phone. You know, for under €100, you're going to get lighting on Dundee or Amazon. You know, so you could find yourself for a couple of €100 having something that it's professional enough to definitely to try and to test it out, you know?
Yeah, definitely the cost and the barriers to entry to getting yourself on out there is completely changed over the last few years, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I mean, look, every day we're carrying around a device that's got a camera, that's got a microphone. I mean, you know, even if you're going back to an iPhone that's maybe 4 years old, the camera is still fantastic in it. So, I mean, the quality is there. And listen, hop on YouTube, see what people are putting out there. Look, just do a search for the area of interest you have. You know, if you've got, it mightn't be, let's say, it might be something that you've been doing at work. Maybe it's a special hobby that you have. Maybe it's an area of interest. The thing is that it's acceptable these days in people's minds that it doesn't have to be the RTE or the Sky level of production that they're going to learn something from. What you'll find is that people will hop on a course and they're kind of connecting with somebody that's at a level that is not too far above them, who's teaching or passing on the skills of their hobby, of their special knowledge of an industry or their tips or something like that. And people are relating to that a lot more because it's kind of, you know, I can see where this person is. I can see that, you know, how they've got there. And it's all about connections and getting a target audience that wants to listen to you. They want to connect with you. And if you're producing good content, people will come back for it.
Yeah, and I agree with you totally there. It's all about maybe having a slightly more knowledge. You don't have to be the expert on anything. You just have to
Exactly.
have a little bit more knowledge and be willing to share it, because I think people associate it with somebody that they know is very similar to themselves, but has a little bit more experience than them, and they might be able to relate to them then.
It is because, I mean, even if we are looking to learn something in our business, be it an application or, you know, a kind of a new way of doing something or a new feature, like we'll hop onto YouTube and instead of going down the large corporate channels, what we'll find is that you'll have somebody that's on there who kind of gives you the warts and all approach to it. So it's kind of like, you know, you could do this, you could do that. I found this better. I found that better. Whereas if you go to the corporate guys, you're going to have the one way that they want to tell it, and it's kind of their way or the highway. Whereas when you're learning from people who've kind of walked the path before you, you're kind of getting a more honest approach. And it's very easy then to see the other videos that this person has done. And what you'll find is that you'll hop on with somebody who's maybe doing something in IT, or maybe somebody's doing something in social media or gardening or whatever your thing is. And you'll see how they're building their audience. You'll see how they're engaging with their visitors or subscribers. And, you know, it's just a model that you have to find your niche, I guess.
Yeah,
And that's the way to do it.
brilliant. That's great advice. So I'm going to do a quick fire round with you here in relation to software. I'm going to name some things that we hear of a lot recently, and just to get your quick insight on them.
Okay.
So what's Zoom?
Zoom. Well, Zoom is what we're on at the moment. Zoom is a piece of software that allows you to do video conferencing, which is just a fancy way of having a video call. Both parties, you and I, would have a camera on our computer, we have a microphone, we're talking to each other via a website. So if you want to start a Zoom call, you just start a free account, you send an invitation to somebody. On the free accounts, I think they're limited to 15 minutes, but you can hop on and hop on and hop off the call. And you can easily just do another 15, another 15, another 15. But, you know, it's a fantastic piece of software. Since COVID-19 has kicked in, it's just gone through the roof in popularity because people are just finding it easier to speak to their family members this way if they're abroad. You'll see businesses that are using it more, interviews are being done on it, and it literally is just a face-to-face meeting over a website.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one then is Calendly.
Calendly. Now, I personally think this is a game changer in the industry because this is something that dovetails in with the video conferencing brilliantly, okay? So let's say if somebody goes onto a website and they are interested in the website, it's 8 o'clock at night, they're on their iPad, they're looking at the website, they're interested in it, they want to engage with the person. But typically on a website, the only kind of engagement is that, especially after office hours, is send an email or remember to phone the person in the morning. But the thing with Calendly is that it puts the facility on the website that you can make an appointment, which is really, really good. Because let's say, for instance, if I'm looking at something tonight and I then say, do you know what, I'd really like that I'd speak to that person tomorrow, I can just click on their calendar, click on Friday, see that they're free at 3 o'clock, and then just make the appointment, confirm the details, and just put in my mobile number. The great thing about putting in the mobile number is with Calendly, you have the option that whatever time before the meeting, let's say an hour before the meeting or 5 minutes before the meeting, Calendly will send a text message to the person saying, you've got a meeting with Stephen O'Sullivan at this time, or, you know, in the next 5 minutes, you have a meeting with Stephen O'Sullivan. But it also sends the Zoom link or a telephone or whatever you want to have the meeting with. So it's a really, really clever piece of software. And the great thing about it is that, you know, for $12, $15 a month, you have the top account with it. It's really, really affordable, you know?
Yeah, I suppose it gives the customer the chance to take action at any time during the evening or morning, or whatever time they're looking at something, as opposed to letting it go and forgetting about it.
I think that's the most important thing, because you see, these days when you go on the website, when you go on the web, and if you're checking out a service to buy something, you know, in an hour, you've probably visited 60 websites and you've gone through them, and you tend to go through websites in a matter of seconds. And in those 12 to 15 seconds of just going on the homepage, you make an instant decision as to whether this is something that's of interest, or no, they can't really do the service, or I don't like the pictures, or I don't like what they're saying on this. So we're so quick these days that we can make decisions like that when it comes to our browsing. But if you can catch someone in those 12, 15 seconds and tell them more in that 30 to 40 seconds and pull them in, you then present them with what's known as a call to action. And the call to action is that, you know, why not book an appointment? Let's have a talk about this tomorrow or the day after. But I mean, I can tell you firsthand, we started on the Calendly route in March of 2020. I'm embarrassed to say it took until the start of COVID for us to kick into the Calendly world. And on our counter we have there now, we've done about 850 video calls with clients throughout Ireland. And they would be they would not be repeat calls to people. They would be one-off calls to people in terms of sales. So it's a fantastic tool that's been a game changer for our company.
Yep. So even during a constant lockdown, you had probably fantastic access to a whole market.
I think that, you know, it's like what I said, how it Calendly dovetails into the video conferencing because once you make an appointment, if you set up Calendly this way, which is simple to do, but you can set up Calendly to automatically give you a link to a video meeting. So when the client books it for 3 o'clock tomorrow, they get a link to a video call. So it's easy to both of you go on and you have the video call. So from that point of view, it's very easy to engage with people. But more importantly, I guess that if you go back 2 years ago and you asked a client to hop on a video call with you, they possibly thought you had two heads. You know, that, you know, the idea of, who does your man think he is hopping on a video call? Whereas nowadays, you say to somebody that's hop on a video call, it's actually kind of the more accepted format. In actual fact, people are kind of saying, you know, we just do a video call. How about we speak next week on a video as opposed to a telephone call, we're finding. So people have, you know, they've really adapted to the whole video conferencing and booking an appointment, and, you know, it really works out well.
So I can take from that you're a fan of Calendly.
I wish I had shares in it before.
Yeah.
Before COVID came and it went through the roof as well.
Even.
Yeah.
So the next one that I'm looking at here is Stripe. How would that help people?
Stripe is from the two brothers in Limerick stroke Tipperary. I guess that never the twain shall meet. Limerick are claiming them, Tipperary are claiming them. I think it's Tipperary that they have it. Stripe is something, a little bit of a story. If you go back, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little longer, and if you wanted to add credit card payments to your website, there was really only two shows in town. Number one was PayPal, which was seen as a very American thing. You know, lots of people and businesses in America had PayPal, and it was in Europe. Of course it was in Europe, but I mean, it had hurdles, because the problem was when you were on an e-commerce website and when you clicked PayPal, you were taken out of the website into PayPal, you made your payment there. Because PayPal wasn't that popular in Europe, people that weren't used to buying online, they were skeptical of the whole, well, where am I going now and how do I get back and is my payment made? Now, the great thing about PayPal though, it was free to add in and you only paid per transaction, a percentage fee. Now, the other guys in town were the banks, and back 7 or 8 years ago, whatever it was, trying to get credit card authorization put into your website was something that nearly took 4 to 8 weeks and maybe longer to put in, with the paperwork, with all the red tape that was involved in it. You nearly had to name your first child after the bank to get it. But the good thing about it is that you stayed within the website. So when someone was on an e-commerce website and they went to the end of the checkout and they go to the next page, which is entering their credit card, they're all within the website. But the problem with that is that before you even sold anything, you were probably looking at 700 to 800 euros a year, because you had to have an internet merchant account and you had to have a credit card authorization account, and it was just red tape central. Yeah. So what these two clever brothers from Tipperary did is that they looked at the PayPal model, they looked at the bank model, and they said, right, let's just do something in the middle. So what they did was they produced something that you stayed within the website, but you only paid per transaction. So they took the best facility that PayPal had, they took the best facility the banks had, and they invented Stripe. And Stripe now is something that we've put into close on 500 websites at this stage. But the great thing about it is this: when someone, well, the main thing about it is that you can set up a Stripe account in under 30 minutes, and clients can do it themselves. And they just get an authorization key that we use, and we link that with the website. So then a client can now use their website to take any payments. So if you go to splash.ie/pay, our clients can go on there and pay deposits. They can pay their invoices. We put it on our bank statements. Sorry, we put it on our company statements. We put it on our invoices. And it's not only allowing us to sell online through printing.ie and our e-commerce shops, but also to take payments kind of through the website. So Stripe is something it's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah,
And
another game changer, isn't it?
it really is. I mean, I guess that it's you know what, it really is one of the most popular services that are out there when it comes to e-commerce. It really is. It's a fantastic solution, and I wish I was a shareholder in it from day one. But I'm beginning to have very bad financial decisions here, not becoming shareholders in companies that are going through the roof. But anyway,
maybe we might discover the next best thing before the end
maybe
of the podcast.
so. And it's from Kerry.
Yeah. The final one is Canva.
Canva, yeah. Canva's an Australian company. Really, really, really good. Really, really, really hate them because I'm in the design industry, and they make it really, really easy for clients to go on and literally create their own marketing, create their own design online through canva.com. A fantastic solution. Fantastic solution if you don't know a lot about graphics. It's a very easy to use interface. They have a free account, which is fantastic. It really is. And their paid accounts are, under €100 a year. So very, very good value. Lots of stock photography, easy for you to do, let's say, social media clips. Let's say if you want animated text, if you want to have some pictures in, and they have such a great way of literally, they have all these templates like for Facebook covers, for Instagram pictures, for LinkedIn covers. So it's kind of, when you click on Facebook, you have the predetermined size and you can just drag your stuff in. So it's really, really clever, and I hate it. Because it's really anti-graphic design, but no, it's a great application.
Yeah, I suppose the main thing out of those 4 or 5 things there is there's probably isn't €100 to invest between the whole lot of them, and you've got meetings, Zoom, payment systems, design, marketing design, all in one box for very little money and very easy to sign up to.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I possibly wouldn't sign up to any of them on a paid account initially, because you could actually, like, Stripe is free to sign up to. Canva their free account is amazing. It's amazing. You'd wonder how they make money, but I think the model of that their paid account is so cheap that it's worth having those few extras on it. Calendly, there's a free account in it, which is fantastic. The main thing with Calendly is that the free account only doesn't have texts, which is fantastic again. And then the first one, what was the first one we talked about? Zoom, well, there's free facilities in that as well, up to 15 minutes. But then again, with Zoom, there's other guys out there like Google Meet, which is free. And, there's Whereby, and there's another 20 or 30 in the marketplace. And because video conferencing has got so popular, they're shooting up every other week now. There's a new platform up there that do things better than the last one, and they offer free accounts, and they try and get traction by offering these free accounts. That's how it works. So yeah, like you said, for 100 or 200 euros, you've paid accounts. You certainly can start it up for free. And when you go onto YouTube and you learn how to use it, the amount of content that's out there on YouTube, how to use Canva, how to set up a Stripe account, why you should use a Stripe account. It's never been as easy to start that side hustle, see what it's like, and just to dip your toe in the water and see what it's like. It's not going to ruin you financially.
Perfect. And as we're on the section of making money, in the Financial Coach podcast, we always say there's only 3 ways to increase your wealth: increase your income, reduce your expenses, or increase the return on your investments. As an employee, the only way to increase your income outside of work is to market, say, your side hustle. So I'm going to bounce some, say, side hustle ideas to you and get your ideas on them. You up for that?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
I
the
hope
first
that, I
one,
hope I can answer them.
yeah. The first one is social media marketing agency.
A social media marketing agency. Okay. Um, I think that if you're if you're au fait with using social media, um, this it's probably one of the easiest to start with, because at the very entry level, companies companies can't afford to have the in-house resource of having a digital marketing manager, or somebody who, a digital marketing assistant, someone who will spend 40 hours a week pushing the social media, because it's a very specialized skill set, and it can be expensive to hire someone full-time for that resource. And obviously the payback is a long-term payback if you do that in a company. So what we've found in the last few years is certainly that companies are more open to take a Mary or a Pat or a Tom on for 3 hours a week, who will do their social media for them. And it's so easy for them to research what other people are doing in the industry and apply what they're doing to their clients. So, I mean, let's say if you go in and start up a mini social media marketing agency, you could have 10 clients, and you're just doing, and the great thing about it is you can do it on Saturdays, you can do it on Sundays, you can do it outside of office hours, but you can actually take it one step further. You can actually there is multiple pieces of software out there. And again, you have paid ones and you have free ones that will allow you to have your 10 clients, but you can schedule their posts to go out. So if you were doing social media for a gardening company, their posts might be better to go out in the morning. And of course, you can get this information on the internet. When's the best time that the customers will look at the post, typically for a gardening agency, or a gardening company, or a financial services company, or a web company, or a printing company, because there's different times of the day that are there that, do people look at gardening stuff in the evenings, or do they look at it in the morning? And the internet will tell you that. But if they look at it in the morning, you can easily just schedule your clients' posts that they go out at 10 o'clock in the morning. And, it's all about just getting stuff out there. And, it's a very easy industry, because there's, as you know, even in County Kerry, there's thousands of businesses. In every county in Ireland, there's thousands of businesses. And all of them now need help with their social media.
Agree, totally, yeah. So the second one I'm thinking there is online tutoring. So if you've a bit of knowledge about something, how would you do that?
Online tutoring kind of goes back to what I said in the start. If you've got a hobby, an area of interest, maybe you like fixing up cars, maybe you like gardening, maybe you can do car tricks, maybe there's something in your day-to-day working life. Maybe you're working as an accountant and you've got some tips out there of the industry that might be there for helping other accountants. They may be there for helping businesses. What you have to look at is, what's your skill? And you know what? As I said in the start, you get a camera together from your phone, you start recording little small pieces of content and putting it out there and sharing it on social media and sending it to people to have a look at. That's the start of you getting together maybe some online tutoring or online courses. So it's then that you can kind of see, you can gauge whether people are interested in you. You build up a following, and once you have a following built up on social media or maybe on YouTube, you then might look at, okay, let's start producing special content that I can charge for, and just see how that goes. And again, there's so many websites out there that allow you to put up that content behind a paid gateway, so to speak, which is just a fancy way of saying that if the client wants to see it, they have to pay to see it. So again, it's look at what other people are doing in your industry, and do you think you can do it better? then that's the yardstick to measure against.
Yeah, and it's almost like the social media marketing and online tutoring could be same skill set. You could learn how to do the social media marketing and then move on to tutor people on how to do it.
Exactly. The thing is that, it's but you know what, for something to be a side hustle, I do think it has to be something you're passionate about. Because if you go online and you look at, if you go onto YouTube and you see the people that are on YouTube and you see the ones that are good, you can see they have a passion for what they're doing. They have an interest. And you know what? It's so easy to spot the ones that are bad presenters or bad communicators. And you know what? Let's face it, 100%, your first few videos are going to be terrible.
Mhm.
They really are. And yes, your wife, your husband, your friend, your mother, your father will tell you they're fantastic, but they're going to be terrible. Believe me. Okay. But the thing about it is that if you want your side hustle to turn into something good, you have to work at it. You have to learn how to present YouTube, how to present, how to look at the camera, how to talk to the camera, what's the best microphone to use, what's the best lighting to put on the room. As you can see, I have a lovely white patch here from a light over my head. So my lighting is terrible where I am at the moment, but it's little things like that that you're going to learn, but you can learn them over time, you know?
I agree with you totally. If you're not passionate about something, you can be amateur in your approach to the presentation, but if you have no passion, it doesn't matter anyway. So,
Exactly.
trying to find something that you love will be easier to present than something that you hate. You're just doing it for the money as such.
I think that's a very valid point, because if you're doing something you love, I mean, what's that term that if you're doing something you love at work, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
But the thing is that if you create a side hustle out of something that you love, then it becomes like an extension of a hobby.
Mhm.
And it's that hobby. Why do you do a hobby? You do a hobby because you're interested in something. If you can make money out of something you're interested in, I mean, that's the holy grail.
That is, yeah.
And but it's just seeing, like, you're going to have to give away content at the start. You're going to have to engage with people and build up that following. And it's from there then you can measure whether it's something you can make money from.
Brilliant. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. So the next one is consulting.
Consulting. I guess that consulting is something that I think consulting is something that probably is an extension of your current work, because for a company to bring in a consultant, they need to have someone that they can learn from, who's walked the path before them, who can give them those nuggets of information that will help them. The great thing about a consultant is that they can cut through the crap and get to the core straight away. And I guess, a consultant is such a wide varying term, but I mean, you can be a social media consultant, like we said about taking on a client, doing 2 to 3 hours a week. The great thing about that is that you can sell hours, you can sell time. If they want to use you more, you just sell them an extra 1 or 2 hours in the week. The great thing about that as well is that you can agree a term with them. I will do 3 hours a week for you for 20 weeks, and you can agree a fee, and you can take a direct debit from it. Again, another easy piece of software like Go Cardless, and you can set up a direct debit. I guess consulting is one of those things that you really have to have the knowledge, and it probably would be probably the most advanced of, or the most serious of the side hustles, I feel.
Agreed.
Because because if I'm going to get a consultant into my business and I'm paying good money for them, I really want to learn from them. I want my staff to learn from them. And I don't really want it to be a hobby by somebody. It has to be serious. So I do think that possibly consulting is one of the more advanced ones for a side hustle. if there is such a thing.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
somebody often said to me, what's the difference between a consultant and a coach? A consultant is the person you bring in, you say, you do it for me. I need you to do this for me. I don't want to do it myself. Whereas
Yeah,
the coach might be encouraging you to find out what you can do yourself and get you to do it. But the consultant, really, you're paying somebody for their time and their experience and their knowledge to get something done that you don't really want to do yourself. So you would have to have an expertise to do that, really, wouldn't you?
100%. And I think that you're kind of getting someone to cut through the bull.
Yeah.
You like, for instance, if you want to get consultation on a particular set of skills, you want that, and it needs to be to the point. This is what I want. You don't want to dilly dally around it. You want to cut to the core, and literally, you need to be delivered on the service. That's why I think that it's probably the toughest one of them. It's by no means impossible, because I mean there's plenty of people out there that have been working 20, 30 years in a career, and let's face it, they will know everything about their area of interest. And for them to be able to go in and offer their expertise to a startup company, for a company that's growing to the next step, or for a seasoned company, their set of skills that they've learned down through the years. And all you have to do is, well, not all you have to do, but the main thing is, I think with a consultant is you have to packagize it.
Yeah,
You have to package it, because I mean, it's pointless going into a company going, hey, I can do everything for your company. If you're a consultant, I think people want to see areas of expertise. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. These are my three cores that I do, and I'm very good at them,
Yeah. And I think, you're going to have packages that give results that people understand.
Exactly, very much so.
Yeah.
It is a very much results-driven kind of field, I would say.
Yeah. So then the next one I was just thinking about was, say, a virtual assistant. You hear about that term these days. What do you think about that?
I think now, since COVID, anything virtual is literally on the cards. Like, I mean, I keep going back to the idea that pre-COVID, if you table the idea of even outsourcing staff to a particular degree, I mean, I'm not foolish to think that hasn't been going for years, but there are certain companies that it was like, oh my God, we can't outsource the staff. We have to have them sitting in the chairs here so we can keep an eye on them. That we want to make sure we know what they're doing, and we know they're coming in at 9 and they're checking out at 5. But since COVID, that whole world has changed on its head. Companies now are they're more accepting of the fact that, having employees that have got a good work-life balance, and some people that are, I mean, there's people in Dublin traveling 1.5, 2 hours a day each way to their jobs, which is just nuts. But they have to do it. I mean, you know what I mean? I applaud them. It's a hard graft. And in many cases, it's the only graft that you have to do. But I do think for companies these days, the idea of getting a virtual assistant is fantastic, basically, because you'll see some business people that are just so poor at, let's say, organizing their life. They're fantastic business people. They're fantastic at their job, but it's a bit like, bookkeeping for me is something that I'm terrible at. So we hire a bookkeeper, and this person organizes everything and does a fantastic job for me. And she's my virtual bookkeeper, and she's excellent at her job. A virtual assistant, again, going back to someone that's like in being in social media management, you could be working for a company for 2 to 3 hours a week. You could be organizing a calendar for somebody. You could be booking meetings. You could be taking care of paperwork, interviews. You could be helping in just organizing someone's life. But I do think, though, for a side hustle, is that it's very easy to make it simple for somebody. Going to somebody saying, listen, I can give you 5 hours a week. I can give you 10 hours a week. Because the one thing I would say to you about a side hustle, and this is very, very important, Don't throw your eggs in the one basket.
No.
Don't take 20 hours for that one person, because all your side hustle then is spent, you've invested that time in that one person. The problem is that if that person goes, you've 20 hours gone.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Yeah.
Whereas if your side hustle that you're selling these in 5-hour packages, and it depends on your time, you know, maybe if it's a side hustle, you might say, you know what, I got 20 hours a week that I can do this, 5 evenings a week for 4 hours, or include the, you know, Saturdays and Sundays, whatever. Let's say it's 20 hours a week. If you're giving 5 sessions at 4 hours a session during the week, if you lose one client, you know, it's not the end of the world. So you can just go and replace that one client or 2 clients. You've still got 3 to 4 clients. So it's you should really be thinking in the way of, you know, I want to maximize the number of clients I can get in, because then you're not left open if one goes, and they will go, and they will come and go. So it's something to be very wary of.
Brilliant. And the other one I was thinking, it's one of the popular terms that you often hear out there about building an e-commerce website. What's that all about?
It's selling online. E-commerce is electronic commerce. It's Amazon. It's the small shop in the town that sells something. It's the large shop that sells something. It literally is. Commerce is when you're walking into the shop and you're buying a pair of jeans, you're buying cups and saucers, you're buying pans, you're buying whatever. That's commerce. E-commerce is that when you're doing the same thing, only you're buying it online. Now, this is a difficult one, because the problem is that what do you want to sell online? What have you got that's unique? Because when clients come to me and they go, oh, you know what, we're a clothing store and we want to go sell jeans. And I'm there going, okay, right. Do you have any special brands that no one else has? Do you make the jeans, or do you import them in? In other words, what's your special sauce? Because if you're just selling Wranglers and Levi's and you hope to sell them online, you're competing against companies that are in the top advertising slots in Google. You're not going to sell. It's a horrible thing, but I prefer to tell people the truth from the start of the journey, so we're not wasting each other's time, and we're building them an e-commerce website in 6 months to turn around to me and go, Stephen, I haven't sold any jeans. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that like e-commerce shops really work well when you have something that isn't a commodity product. I think, this is only my opinion now. I think if you're an artist and you're creating something, or you're either creating something, you're making something, or you can create a marketplace for something, I think that works well. Obviously, if you're a business and you're selling and you want to extend the capabilities of your existing customers from buying from you from a distance, that's really good as well. But I think if you're a regular commodity product, it's difficult. You know, it's difficult to find that area, that little niche, because, you know, I remember an agency in Dublin years ago, a very big agency. They came out with this statement that's always stuck in my head. I think it's really, really good. They said getting an e-commerce website is 15 to 20% of the journey. And the problem is that when clients come into us, they think that getting the e-commerce website is 80 to 90% of the journey. Yeah. They think that just by getting that shop, that's it. The money is going to roll in. When the reality is, and I side with the agency in Dublin that said that, when you have that shop and it's got the descriptions on it, it's got the videos, it's got the pictures, it's humming, it's perfect. You then have to go out and you have to push that in online advertising. You have to put it on business cards. You have to put it in a van. You have to put a sign over your shop. You have to, if you're doing it as a side hustle, you have to send it to your friends. You have to grow it on social media. All that work is in the 80, 85% that you have to do to sell online.
So
And
you probably increase your chances by having something that's niche, really.
yeah, because if you think about it, let's say if you're an artist and you're producing something, when you put that up, there's typically nowhere else that someone can buy that but on your website.
Mhm.
So if you're producing a piece of art, or if you're producing something that's unique and you're selling that through your shop, and if people want it, they can only buy through you.
Yeah.
So that's when an e-commerce website really makes sense. Now, listen, I don't want to be negative about this. I'm being a realist because I mean, we have an e-commerce website, printing.ie, and it's been fantastic for us down through the years. But we've had to push it and we've had to grow it. And you know, we have a wedding stationery website as well that's run by my wife, the Invite Hub. Again, it's a tough slog. It really is a tough slog, but if you put the time into it, it's like any of the side hustles. If you put the time into it, the rewards are there.
Very good. So the next one I was thinking about there earlier, and you hear a lot of people now doing, say, designing and selling online courses. Is that simple money, or is it a hard slog?
Well, I guess, look, I mean, why would I buy an online course? You have to kind of ask yourself that. You know, if I wanted to learn how to valet cars correctly, or if I wanted to learn how to do a skill, and I wanted to learn it as a hobby. Let's say I wanted to go on and I've got my car out there and I'm sick of it being dirty and I want to do it properly. I would go on and I'd hop on a course and learn how to do it. Now, maybe the course is how to do bookkeeping, how to do my own taxes. You know, you could have a course on anything, okay? You could have a course on gardening, how to do block laying, how to do whatever. But the thing about it is that there's an opportunity out there. There is someone that's going to want to learn how to do DIY, and there is courses to teach people how to do DIY. There is courses there to learn people or to teach people how to do anything. So you have to see, it's pointless you going into a particular industry that you can automatically see within a couple of minutes of searching that it's saturated by people who are doing it, and they're doing a fantastic job at it.
Mhm.
So I'd really evaluate the skill set that I want to put out there on courses right from the start, because you have to ask yourself, can I do it better than them? Can I do it cheaper than them? Can I have a more honest approach? Am I a better communicator? Do I have the skills and the interest to do this for a period of time? And then when it comes to it, I think personally that if you're going to create courses, you have to look at the chaser. You have to literally look at what's the content I can put out there to see if there's an interest that I can sell these courses, create these courses. You have to give teasers. You have to take those videos, cut them up into 20, 30 little second snippets, put it out there, see the feedback, because you're going to get people saying, oh, you know what, I love the way you've done this, or I love the way you've explained that, or no one's ever explained it that simply. That's when you'll see whether you're onto something. If you're not getting any feedback from people, then you really have to evaluate. You really do. But then you have to, the other side of it then is this. Just because you create a course or you put a video out there, you have to find an audience. You have to go at where people who are looking at gardening, where people are looking at DIY, there are those Facebook groups, those LinkedIn groups, those, those websites, those communities, and you have to start connecting with them and putting your content out there, because you have to find an audience, because the internet is, as people know, is huge. And simply just taking a website and making it live today, you mightn't have anyone looking at your website for 3 months.
Yeah.
Which is the stark reality of it. You have to find your audience and go to them.
Yeah, as So like any of the other things, you have to have your research done. It's not a case of just jumping in saying, I like to do sewing, so therefore I'll do a sewing course. And there might be 10,000 of them online, so you're wasting your time. It's, again, having a passion and researching it and finding, is there a niche for that particular one as such, you know?
I think as well, it might, it's getting correct feedback, I think, is essential. Because, when you do those first few courses or your first few videos and how I said they're going to be bad, they will be. But the thing about it is get it out there, show people, and don't show your friends and ask them for feedback, because they're not going to want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
See if you can show it to people that, maybe they're a friend of a friend and they're not your friend, that maybe one of your friends or one of your family members can recommend someone, and then approach them and say, listen, I'd love for you to have a look at this and tell me what you think. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And just to get it from straight, I mean, obviously, when you don't want to put it out there and ask for people's feedback, because I think that it's hard to judge that.
Yeah.
I think that getting feedback from people that are just a couple of people removed from you, I think that's the best place to start at.
Definitely.
And don't go to family, because they're going to tell you it's brilliant.
Of course.
Or maybe they won't.
Maybe not. Yeah, they might tell you the hard truth.
Yeah.
The other one there, one of the old favorites, creating an ebook. Is that a way to make money?
I think an ebook is fantastic. An ebook is literally just like a book, but it's online. So you can turn the pages online, or you can download a PDF. It's an electronic book. Okay. I think that an ebook is part of a sales journey. I think that by producing it, like an ebook could be 6 pages, an ebook could be 60 pages. So there's no particular size to it. But the thing is that it has to be of interest. It has to hook the person in. So a lot of companies on a website will have a call to action on the website saying, hey, download my ebook. I just need your email address. Now, there is a lot of people, and if you give maybe a snippet of the ebook, maybe the first 1 or 2 pages of a 20-page ebook, you can get people kind of interested, and maybe you get their email address, and that gives you the opportunity to send your marketing to them, or the opportunity for you to sell to them, right? There is another train of thought that you create your ebook and you put it out on your website, or you put it out in your marketing or your social media, and you give it out for free. Now, I know that there is loads of marketing people screaming at me right now after hearing that, saying you should be getting the email address and so on. But the thing about it is I feel that it's a more honest approach by saying, hey, listen, this is what I've produced about the service I'm offering, or this particular set of skills I have, and this is something I want to give you that's going to help you. And by giving it out like that, I feel personally, this is only my opinion, that you have a better chance of hooking that person into your company. Yeah. Because they then hopefully, it's an inbound marketing approach. You're hoping that they're going to come back in to see more content from you. Because you know what? I had a great experience reading that ebook. I learned so many things on that, and it was really, really clever. Let me go back to that guy there and see what else he's done. Yeah. And it's the whole thing about, when you have inbound marketing, is that you're hoping to bring people in and in and in and in. I mean, take the example of, do you ever see on YouTube people that are, let's say they put out recipes and they show you how to do the recipes, and it's so simple how they do the steak, but it never turns out that way. Yeah. But the thing about it is, you go, God, I really love the way that they did that 2-minute video on how to do something. And then you go back to them again, and you go back to them again and again and again and again, because you're going back to them for content. And the thing is then, if you keep going back to them and their content is good, and then suddenly they produce a members area or a paid area or something like that, then that's an opportunity. Then you go, you know what? Their stuff was fantastic, and it's only going to cost X for me to maybe get into the inner circle and maybe get to talk to them or get to watch this, or maybe there's more longer courses on this, that, or the other. That's where ebooks kind of bring you on the path. I think they're part of the journey as opposed to something you can charge for.
Yeah, I'd probably agree that it's an introduction to what you do. Probably
Exactly.
Nothing else. So the last one you'll be glad to know is freelance content writing.
Freelance content writing. Content writing by its nature is something that everyone thinks they can do, but it's a difficult skill.
Agree, yeah.
Because the thing about it is I always kind of, because we're in the design industry and in the marketing industry, and content is something that I like it. I liken it like to, let's say, something like taking a photograph or doing a video. Everybody can take a photograph. Everybody has a video camera on their smartphone. But the thing is, it's a photographer will take a picture 100 times better than you or I will, Mark. Mm-hmm. And a videographer will take video because they can see they will know the theme of the photograph, the theme of the video. They'll know the type of company they're doing it for. They'll want to see what fits in to the brand, to the overall feel of the company, to the theme of what they're doing, right? The problem is that people don't look at content in the same way, and content should be looked at in the same way, because you can read something about a company and you can get an impression, you can get an idea, you can get what the whole thing behind the company is by reading it. And content writing is something it's a fantastic skill to have. If you're good at English, good at putting text together, good at storytelling, then freelance content writing is something that's really clever. Now, it's also something that fits in very well with your social media skills, because if you're, let's say, in digital marketing, if you're writing a blog article for a company, you then are taking that, which is the content writing, and you then are putting that out through the social media channels. So the two of them are something that's very connected, because with freelance content writing these days, I personally think that probably the only show in town for it is for distributing out through a website, or distributing it through, a blog on a website, or through social media. Yeah. Unless you're producing printed brochures or you're producing ebooks or something like that. But essentially, whatever you're going to do in an ebook is going to find its way into possibly a blog and social media, because they're all connected. So again, just to finish, what I was saying that is, again, it's something like being a virtual assistant. Imagine that you see, for me, side hustles are all about the package. Mm-hmm. If somebody comes to me and says, I can do bookkeeping, I go, fantastic. But if someone comes to me and said, listen, I can do bookkeeping where we spend 2 hours a week with you, and every month we spend an hour on the phone call with you, and we have a 12-month package, and that's it there. I can quantify it. I can see what the package is. I know from the start to the finish what's involved. I know what I'm getting. So I've created a package so I can understand it. And if I understand it, I can buy it. Now that's something that's very, 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 very interesting, and something people miss a lot of the time. Yeah. If you present a service to somebody, you have to get them to understand what you're offering, or else they're just going to judge it on price. A business coach told me that years ago, that if you can't differentiate your product from your competitor's product, it's just going to be judged on price then. Even though you have the super duper Swiss made, German, whatever product, and The other guys have the Chinese, Indian entry-level pop-up stand. I'm using a real-life example there for when we were bringing in Swiss pop-up stands, and our competitors were bringing in cheaper Chinese, Indian stands, and we were trying to get across to people that we had, you know, the BMW, the Mercedes of the pop-up stand industries.
Mm-hmm.
But then if clients were just seeing a pop-up for a pop-up, then it'll just be judged on price.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally.
So you have to communicate your packages in a way that people understand it.
Definitely, yeah, no, you have to kind of show them the amount of what problem you're solving, the amount of time they have to spend, and what's the result for them at the end of the day. And if you can get that into it, it helps dramatically.
Yeah, and you said something that's very important there, what the result is, because I think that if you're going selling your side hustle to an entrepreneur, it would be great to say, well, you know what, this is what you can learn at the end of it. This is what you're going to get. Because the thing is if somebody's selling me a service, I like to know from the outset what my finish will be. Yeah. You know, what I'm going to get, what am I going to learn, how am I going to be set up? So then I can picture in my head, if I invest 500 euros for 10 weeks, I'm going to be at this stage after the 10 weeks. So it gives me something to aim for or something to expect at the end. And I think that having something like that, even if you're talking about social media, if I go in and if I do your social media and if I spend 2 to 3 hours a week in it, our outcomes will be that we would engage with customers better. We'll be able to showcase our new products through the website. We'll be able to do polls on the website to see if it's A or B or C, what's selling better. We'll be able to communicate our sales through the website. And you know, the important thing about it is it's not all about likes. It's not all about that. It's engaging. I'd rather have 200 to 300 people on a website that are engaging with me than to have 10,000 people on it that I never hear about. Of
course, yeah.
You know?
So I think we have given a multitude of ideas, and you've given us a lot of theories and scientific facts about those various different areas, which are great. So what I just want to do on the Financial Coach podcast, we like to ask our guests for their favorite financial tip or story of what has worked financially for you in your own personal life. So have you any radical tips here for us today?
Radical tips. Well, I guess I have a real world tip that I've only done recently, and I'm so proud of myself for doing it. I guess, you know, my son just turned 17 in April, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to start him off with a pension. So I researched it. I talked to my financial advisor. I talked to my accountant on kind of, is this even possible? You know, what needs to take place? So I got my son as a part-time employee in the company. And that then gave me the kind of the qualification, so to speak, that I could invest in his pension. But the important thing is this. I'm investing 200 euros a month in his pension. Now I'm starting at 17, but I'm stopping it when he's 30. Okay. Now, when I say I'm stopping it, I'm stopping my contribution to it at 30. So I've got 13 years of 200 euros a month that I'm going to investing into his pension. Now, I'm hoping that when he's 30, that he will see the benefit of starting a pension early, because there is so many entrepreneurs out there that who never think a pension is going to happen. They're never going to, the pension is so far away. And it's only when you get into your 40s and 50s, you can start thinking, oh, hang on, I'm retiring in 20 years time. Now, it's great if you're working for a big company, you know, you've got your pension in there and you're going to be adding to it. But the thing about it is that at 30, I'm hoping that he'll continue his pension. But if he doesn't, I'm looking that there'll be a pot of money in there so that when he's at pension age then, with compounding interest, that'll be in the hundreds of thousands of euros it'll be there as a nest egg for him.
Fantastic, yeah.
But more importantly, it's a nest egg that he can't touch until that age. And I guess my theory behind it is that this is probably something that's either that's going to aid his children by that he'll be able to gift them, let's say, a deposit for a house, or the education of one of his kids, or maybe the education of one of his kids, so to speak. I'll be long and gone at that stage, but it's a nice feeling for me to know that this small investment that I'm making now is something that's going to have a big effect down the road. So I'd like to think that that's probably the most positive thing that I've done from a financial planning point of view, other than investing in the Eircom shares back in the 90s that everyone lost money on. But
we're all there, I think.
We're all there. We all have that pain.
Well, I'm sure your son will be saying, "My dad was a genius" one day when he gets access to those funds in the future. You know,
I'm coaching him to say that every day right now, and it's not working. It's not working.
Yeah. So, Stephen, how can our listeners find out more about you and Splash?
Splash, well, I guess, like with everyone, our website is www.splash.ie. Or if you're up the country, it's not Flash, it's not Bash, it's not Cash, it's Splash. Okay. Because with my melodic Kerry accent, people are always mistaking Splash when I tell it to people over the phone. So it's splash.ie. I nearly didn't spell it myself there. But yeah, through splash.ie.
As in splash in the pool, yeah.
As in splash in the water, yes.
Yeah, very good. Don't forget that. So look, Stephen, thanks very much for being on the podcast today. You really kind of contributed a huge amount. I think the listeners will have a great insight into marketing a side hustle. It's certainly, I learned a lot out of it in the last, 40 minutes we've been talking on this, which has gone on great. I just could listen to you all night. And I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for listening to today's episode.
You're very welcome, Mark. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Bye-bye.